What's up, hockey think tankers? Welcome to another Friday Face-Off episode sponsored by Titan Battle Gear. If you heard our recent conversation with the founder of Titan Battle Gear, you know why we're excited with what they're building. Titan is changing how players think about their base layer protection. It's Velcro-free, breathable, lightweight, and made with the highest rated cut-resistant fabric on the market. It's no wonder they recently partnered with USA Hockey to help advance player safety. This is definitely the gear we want our athletes wearing. Hockey Think Tank listeners can get 15% off at titanbattlegear.com/GMBM.
GMBM. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. We got Vex and myself for 10 minutes here on the clock, and we're doing a part two. We needed to split this up into two different sections. After John Cooper won the Jack Adams Award for the top coach in the NHL. Obviously, he is a legend. Crazy that this was actually his first time winning the award. But part one, last week, if you wanted to go back and listen to that, it was about, what to do as a coach if you want to move up the ranks and you didn't play at that level. John Cooper did not play in the NHL, nor did he get close to playing in the NHL, yet he is going to go down as one of the top coaches in NHL history. So we talked a lot about just if you haven't played the game, how to achieve becoming a better coach and getting to the highest levels of this game. And then today, what we're going to talk about is, John Cooper, guys, I feel like, let's take a step back here, Vex. I feel like we live in a world where it's either so far one way or it's so far the other way. There's a black and there's a white and there's nothing in between. And one of the ways that coaching gets talked about in that sense is you're either an old school coach, which means you're like a dictator, authoritarian, and there's a new school coach where it's like you're a player's coach type of thing. And the best coaches are not one or the other. They have a little bit of both in them. They are true to some old school values, like accountability and being hard and setting high standards and things like that. But they're also able to, build relationships and build trust with players. And so I even think a lot of the old school coaches, even though they're called old school, like back in the day, the best ones still had what we would call new school nowadays. As a player, you knew that they cared about you, and they might have yelled a little bit more, things like that. But ultimately, you knew that they cared. So you'd run through a brick wall for them. And the best new school coaches today have some old school to them, right? Where they're not pushovers. They have standards. There's accountability. They're going to coach you hard, things like that. And so for me, I don't know John Cooper. I've met him. He would have no idea who I am, but I know a lot of people who have coached with him. I know a lot of people who have played for him. And I feel like if there's anybody that might have the best blend of old school and new school, it's probably him at the end of the day. And so wanted to get your thoughts, just big picture after hearing me talk for a minute or two there, what are your thoughts on the whole old school, new school, type coaching?
I think it's just a stupid debate, honestly. I think the best coaches are the best coaches, and the best coaches are the ones that when there's new information available, whether it's on tactics or it's on, interpersonal relationships and communication or psychology or anything, they're able to build that into how they do it, their coaching-ness, if you will, your coach plus ness. So, I think that the best coaches just with whatever information they have, also thinking about their, immutable traits, their character, their personality, and they make it their own and they find a way to get the best results. So I don't think it's which is better. I think it's just the best coaches are the best coaches because they're the best at being them and they're authentic and people buy into them, whether it's old, new, in the middle, doesn't matter. It's just they're the best because they'll take in new information, they'll adapt, they'll apply, they'll listen to feedback from players and what they're liking and what they want. And it doesn't mean they're going to change, but they're going to find a way to make it so that it helps the players buy in more and all those things,
Yeah, I think this conversation, like the both of those go hand in hand. Like I know the best coaches that I've been able to work with or play for that matter. But when you work with somebody, you see their method, a little bit more of what they're doing. The best coaches have a great blend of the old school and the new school. And the other thing is they have a great blend of staying true to who they are, but also being willing to change the things that need to change.
Right.
If you're somebody who like you want to be a great coach, so you're always changing everything and you're always morphing into a different, person, like nobody's going to know who you are and there's no authenticity to that. Right. So you need to stick true to the values and you need to be authentic with who you are. But you also, like you said, you have to be willing and able to change some things when things aren't working.
Yeah. 100%. Like having a pulse, and I don't mean like your own pulse, having a pulse on the room, having a pulse on the organization, like being understanding like that feel, like that's where, you talk about is coaching a science, is it an art, it's like, it's all the above, but like, you've got to be authentic. People don't play for phonies. People don't want to be around phonies, and like you said, if you're changing all the time, it's like, well, who are you? Like you're a chameleon, whatever you are, be the best thing that you are, but also be able to take in new information and go, well, how can I use this moving forward to get the best results out of my team in front of me? And those are the guys who are the best coaches.
Yeah. And I think sometimes different situations calls for different ways of handling them. Like I think about some of the things with like John Tortorella right now, right? He's coach in Vegas, but he's also coached some young teams and things like that. And it's really interesting to hear him talk about this Vegas team because it's a veteran laden team. There's a lot of guys on the team that have, gone far in the playoffs or played on the Stanley Cup team that they had a few years back. And there's just a maturity about the team. So it's cool. He's like, I don't have to coach much with these guys. Like they're accountable. Like they hold each other accountable. So I don't necessarily, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I don't think he needs to be the guy to come in with the stick and whip people into shape because they kind of do that themselves and they don't need to be as much because it's an older team that's mature, as opposed to maybe when he's coaching in Philly where it's a really young team, or maybe Columbus back when he was there where they hadn't won in a while. So you have to change the culture and maybe you need to carry the stick a little bit more and you have to be a little bit more old school, So like different situations can call for different things too. And that's where like the best coaches, like we're talking about, are very, very adaptable. It's not one way or the other. You take the best of what your strengths are, you put it into the situation that you're in with the team that you have, and then you surround yourself with people who have different skill sets and better strengths than you. Like a John Cooper is not known as the greatest tactician in the world. I'm sure he's great at it. I've never sat down and talked hockey with him, but what he's known for is his gift with people. I've heard countless stories from guys that he's coached with, when he was coaching in the USHL, college coaches talking about when he was running Green Bay, things like that. He's just an unbelievable gift with people. I also happen to know one of his assistant coaches with the Lightning, Jeff Halpern. Like he's a hockey genius, man. Like I've talked hockey with him and he knows his, like I learned something every time I got the chance to. We lived in the same town when I was in upstate New York, and he's just a great guy and really understands the game. And I would imagine that people like a Cooper or Tortorella or whatever, like you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with too. And so if you are a certain way, you want to complement that with other people who have different personalities, different perspectives than you are. Like I think about Musi, right? Musi never played in the NHL. He was runner up to Cooper in Pittsburgh. Who was one of his first hires? It was Nick Bonino. Nick Bonino has never coached, but Nick Bonino won Stanley Cups with Crosby and Malkin as a locker room glue guy who gets that life, right? So like that's a compliment to Musi, who'd never played at that level, but is really, really good at other things. So, the best coaches also know how to round out a staff because a head coach is only as good as his staff.
Truth. I mean, say it all the time. You are the 5 people you surround yourself with most. And that's really important with your coaching staff at higher levels. It's extremely important with the coaching staff at higher levels. And, everybody's heard the stories of Cooper and his communicating abilities, So to bring it back to what we started the last episode with, if you want to coach at the higher levels, listen to all these things, be the best you can be adaptable, but accountability and respect and all of those things go a very, very, very long way.
Yeah. There's no such thing as totally old school and totally new school. Right. You know, if you're totally one way or the other, chances are you're probably not a very good coach. You know, having the ability to take some of each of those and fit it into who you are so you can do it in an authentic way. You know, and then understanding the situation you're in, surround yourself with other people that can complement that. That's where the money's made, man. So this was a fun one.
Yeah, I like this.
All right. Time's up.
Share the show.